What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast, Drinks After Work with Shelly Nicole. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody had a great weekend, and I hope everybody had a great Monday. I know it's right back to work. I feel like the time is just flying by. We're already in the second week of February, and it doesn't make any sense. Wednesday is Valentine's Day, and the Super Bowl just passed. I can't keep up with all the things that are going on. All-Star Weekend is this weekend coming up. It's just a lot. It's a lot going on. But nonetheless, we're getting things done, and I hope you guys had a great Monday. Despite your boss probably pissed you off, your coworkers probably pissed you off. Maybe something didn't go right today, but it's okay. You're home now, you're relaxing, or you're on your way home. You're relaxing, you're enjoying yourself, and you're going to let go of everything that has happened, because we are going to talk about what everyone decided. So I put up a poll for not only on my personal Instagram, but I also put up a poll for the Drinks After Work podcast, the actual podcast Instagram. And I wanted to see what the next episode would be, because like I said, I wanted to involve you guys more than it just being me picking topics and me speaking. So I also did a live stream on Friday, which I hope you guys did tune into. If you didn't, it's okay. Next one you better tune into, and just having a conversation about what today's topic is about, which is when trust is broken. And I didn't think so many people wanted to actually speak about that, but I guess apparently it's a big thing, because somebody else DM'd me and said, like, no, you need to talk about this, because I'm having a hard time in my relationship right now, and I feel like I can't trust him. And I'm like, she was just giving me all the tea about their relationship, and I'm just like, oh, baby. So I guess, and again, a lot of people voted for it, so I was just like, all right, I guess that's the one. So, and I don't know if I want to say it sounds so bad saying that, but I'm not new to trust being broken. And I guess nobody is, but I feel like I've experienced it a lot, and especially in relationships, and I kind of now know how to maneuver between, or like how to heal from it, but also how to handle it. I feel like the Michelle now at 32 is completely different from the Michelle at 22, especially when it comes to relationships. How and the broken heart, like being brokenhearted and not having the trust, and how I handled basically betrayal, because I guess that comes with it as well. When you break trust, is the betrayal of knowing that this was a person who you probably really liked, or you were really interested in. I can't speak today. You were really interested in, and who you, I guess, were in love with or had love for, even possibly saw a future with, and to now know that the trust has been broken. It's just like, damn, now what do I do? But before we dive into that, what I'm drinking tonight is, because this is obviously Drinks After Work, and if you had a long day like I did, then you want something to drink. Now again, as I always say, I'm not promoting alcoholism. I'm not promoting that you need to drink an alcoholic drink. It could be whatever it is you're feeling for. If you need to drink some tea, if you need to drink some water, if you need to drink some wine, if you need to pop open that bottle of Henny or Casamigos or whatever it is you want to drink, you can drink, but you drink whatever you are most comfortable with. But I'm drinking on red wine. I think I mentioned it before that I like red wine. My mom introduced me to red wine. She's more of a white wine person. I mean, she'll do a red, but she's more of a white wine person. I'm more of a red. White makes my head hurt, so I don't even bother. But I'm drinking Robert Mondavi. I want to say that's how you say it. I don't know, but it's Robert Mondavi. That's what we're gonna go with. His private selection, Merlot, California, 2019. It is very good, and it's only, well, up the block from me, it's only $20.99, so $21, and it's really good. I think it's Merlot, so it's good, for, I don't even know if you should read the back. It was founded in 1994, so he's been doing this for 20 years. So the man kind of knows what he's doing, and honestly, like, this is my third bottle, I want to say, that I've gotten from him, and it's really good. I think it's sweet. It's not too sweet to the point where it's like cavity, but it is sweet enough. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. So cheers, everyone, and let's get into the topic. So again, the topic tonight is when trust is broken. Now, this is really just hitting on relationships, because again, when I proposed the question or asking people what I should do next for the next podcast, they all said when trust is broken, and a lot of people said talk about relationships, because I guess people are having issues with trust or in their dating world and not being able to trust people because they say one thing and do something completely different, which we've all had at some point where we've experienced someone saying that they'll do something and then they don't, or someone betraying us, cheating on us, lying to us, the whole nine, right? So this is mainly about being in a relationship with your partner, but I guess just to hit the surface on friendships and when trust is broken in your friendships, I feel like there are ways to, I feel like you could repair a friendship. When trust is broken in a friendship, you could repair that easier than repairing repairing trust in a relationship. And why I say that is because, and I mean, I guess first of all, it depends on exactly what happened. So like, if it's something where somebody took your money, or they lied on you, or they did something deceitful to your family or to you, or something, I said money-wise, whatever it is that was detrimental to your life, then obviously that's something that you can't take back. That I feel like you can learn to let go of. You can forgive the person for doing it, but you will never be able to fully trust that person with your life or with your family or your finances or whatever ever again, if it's something that was so serious. Like if you asked a friend to or if a friend asked you, like, can I borrow like $2,000 or something like that, they really needed, and then they promised they'll give it back, and here we are 5 years later and no one has given it back, then it's like, okay, I can't trust you when it comes to this, because you clearly can't even keep your promise in saying that you'll give me the money back that you said you would owe me, or that you would return back to me, or anything like that. Like I said, whenever it comes to something detrimental to your life or something that really hits home for you. I mean, everybody's different, so what may hurt one person may not hurt somebody else, but I do feel like if the conversation can be had in a friendship, there are ways in which you can rebuild that trust for that person. If it's nothing, like I said, again, because somebody's going to say, but you just said no. If it's not detrimental to your life or to your family's life, I feel like it can be repaired. And why I say that can be repaired easier than a relationship, because relationships, you're giving your heart mostly to this person. You're being the most vulnerable with this person whom, I mean, at least at this age, you want to spend the rest of your life with, or you're thinking long term with, whether that be marriage or just being with the person forever. You're trying to build something, and I don't think you can build anything if you don't trust somebody. That's just how I see it, right? So that's the first question. Can trust be repaired in a relationship once it's broken? I say yes, it can be, but there is a lot of work that comes with repairing trust. And again, it's both, like I said, friendship and relationship, but just speaking specifically on relationships, it can happen. You can repair trust once it's broken, but it has to be a lot of work that's going to go into it. And at most times, that's where people fall short of trying to fix the problem, because no one really wants to work it out. It's always one person either not doing enough to show the other person, like, hey, you can trust me, or it's the person showing that, hey, you can trust me again, look at what I'm doing, and you being that person, like, no, I still don't trust you. Like, no matter what they do, you can't look past it. Like, no, I can't. So the crazy thing is, the other day I was in my car waiting for a parking spot by my house, and I was listening to Pastor Keon Henderson. If you guys listen to him if you see him on YouTube, or you know who he is a pastor down in, I think it's Houston, Texas. And if you know Shawnee, well, she was formerly known as Shawnee O'Neal, but her husband is now Pastor Henderson. I listen to his sermons a lot on Sunday, and I listen to his sermons just regularly, even if it's not on Sunday, just little conversations that he has, or little snippets and videos that he puts on YouTube. And he actually had one that is still up now, so you can watch it too. It said, the title is Not Your Typical Bible Study, and it was basically on relationships. And he brought up his wife, Shawnee, and they were talking about trust in a relationship. So it's ironic how everybody want to talk about trust when I put this up. And I think it was, I think I saw it post on, I want to say Thursday, maybe. Thursday is when I saw the video. I think they posted it on Thursday. Probably recorded on Thursday too. I'm not sure. Or maybe it was Wednesday. But even after I asked, like, what should be the next one, everybody said this topic. So one thing that Pastor said was, when trust is low, cost is high. When trust is high, cost is low. And I had to just like scratch my head at that. I'm like, what is he talking about? But when you kind of think about it, like, okay, first I guess you gotta have like to break it down, right? So when you think about it, what is cost? What is the cost? Right? To me, it came off as the cost is the repercussions of losing trust. So, like, for instance, if you cheat on your girlfriend or your boyfriend, the repercussions of it is the cost that you are going to pay, which is going to end up making trust low. So the cost is high, the trust is low. That's how I saw it. You can depict it however you would like it, but that's how I basically seen what it is he was saying. Like, if you don't want to have those issues in your life, understand that you need to keep trust at a high and keep that cost low, because it's going to cost you everything once you lose that trust in your partner. Once they no longer look at you the same, it will never really be the same. Although it can be repaired, it will never be the same. So where does trust begin? For me, I feel like it begins in the dating phase, right? So, and maybe not in the first month or so. Well, I wouldn't say the first. Well, yeah, I guess the first month, because in the first month you're really starting to wean off everybody you've been talking to. So, like, if I had my group of guys who I was talking to, and he had his group of girls that he was talking to, I have to now start kicking everybody out. Like, all right, this was fun, this was cool, or nothing happened. All right, we're good. We could be friends, or we can't be anything. Whatever the case is, we both have to now do that, to where we then take it to that next step of now we're dating exclusively. And I know it sounds crazy, because my mom, even when I say these things to her, she's like, what the fuck does dating exclusively mean? What is that? Either you're together or you're not together. And I guess it's different, it's generational, but I think my generation, and possibly this new generation, I don't know, this new generation is different, but whatever. I know for my generation, at least, we're taking things one step at a time, and it may seem or sound as if we're planning everything out and having to put like notes next to everything or a label next to everything. But I feel like we've gotten to that point because so many people have tried to take labels out, and of the dating world, at least, and making it seem like, oh, we're just doing us. Well, what the fuck is doing us mean? Like, what does that mean? What are you saying? We're doing us as in we're dating, or are we doing us as in like when I need some, I call you? Like, I don't get it. What does that mean? And I still to this day don't understand that when people say that they're doing that, but whatever, not my business. So in the beginning, I feel like you have to knock off your roster, and this person has to knock off of their roster, right? And then in the exclusive dating part is when you really start to see and build that trust. Like, okay, you're keeping up with what it is you're saying. You're telling me that, I'll pick you up at 7. You're at my house by 6:30, 6:45. All right, you're also on time. Very good. You're planning dates, or I can trust you with my body. I know that it's just me and you. I know you're not fucking around with nobody else. I know it's just me and you fucking around, so I can trust you with that, right? I can trust you with my mind. I can trust you with my feelings. It's like you kind of start taking down that wall of vulnerability. Like you start exposing vulnerability behind the wall is what I should say. Because now you feel like, okay, now I can really speak to this person without them judging me. I can tell them exactly how I'm feeling, and they won't look at me like I'm weird or like I'm psychotic. They'll understand what I'm saying, even if like they don't agree with it. And if they don't agree with it, they have a way of telling me that they don't agree with it. Putting me in my place, but respectfully doing like, listen, baby, that ain't gonna work. You gotta think of it like this instead of thinking it like that. Because maybe by you thinking it this way is what caused you to have X, Y, and Z happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to really sit in a soft woman and a soft man, because it's nothing wrong with men having that little soft part of them when it comes to someone that they're dating. And that's a whole nother topic, and trust me when I tell you, men sitting in their soft circle, their soft comfortable area when it comes to dating a woman. But again, that's a whole nother topic, because we'll be here all night. But that's where I feel like it begins, as the beginning of the dating exclusively. And actually after the 3 months, because if you heard last week's episode, if you haven't listened to that one yet, you should pause this one, go listen to last week. I'll still be here. Go listen to last week about the 3-month rule and how after 3 months the honeymoon stage comes to an end. So I feel like after that whole stage is over, that's when the deep trust starts to build into your relationship, because now it's like, okay, you're still here 3 months later. Okay, you haven't switched up on me. All right, we're getting somewhere here. We're getting somewhere, and the trust continues to build. So that's where I kind of see it at. So another thing that I learned in my 30s is that, and I guess not even just in my 30s, but just, well, yeah, I guess my 30s, but then also realizing from my last relationship, is that I needed learning that I needed to trust God before I could trust another human. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with this. And I know it's not just me. I do also see that, especially from my personal Instagram, that so many of not just my friends, but also people whom I follow, and that follow me back, are starting to get into their relationship with God and being more spiritual. Not necessarily religious, but just being spiritual. And that's kind of how I am. And in being spiritual, like just now really connecting into that and starting to like just understand where God fits in to my life and where I need to learn to trust him first before I can trust anybody else. It really has kind of made a big change, a big pivot in my life for the most part. And I feel like that's where I now am able to distinguish between who I should trust, who I should give my time to, who should be around me, who shouldn't be around me, but also when it comes to relationships, like who I really am seeking, what it is that I really want. I always had a feeling or a thought of what it is or who it is I wanted to be with. I had like a guy pictured in my head of what I saw my husband being. And while I thought I was dating that person numerous times, because it wasn't just my previous relationship, it was relationships prior to that, I had to really sit down with myself and also reading the Bible, and understanding what God's true, when God giving you somebody who really embodies everything that you're asking for and that you're praying for, that you really just have to trust him to give it to you at the time when it's right for you, not when you think it's right for you. Because when you normally think that way, you end up getting hurt and you end up going in the same circle with the same guys or the same girls, because you're like, oh, well, what is it that everybody's acting the same or everybody's doing the same shit as my ex. But at the same time, it's like, well, maybe you just have to pause, work on yourself, and then let God do the rest. And then he'll bring you the person who you're asking for. And that's, I know for some people they'll feel like, oh, well, wonder if I don't believe in God, or wonder if I don't believe in a higher power. Well, that's on you, for you to determine, or for you to feel. I'm not trying to make you believe in God, but I feel like you should at least visit that area first before deciding to completely write God off. You have to at least learn to trust him in some area of your life, even if it's not with relationships first. It could be with anything first. Trust him with something and allow him to do his big work on you in that situation, and then you start to see how everything else falls into place. Because now I'm able to distinguish between people who are just playing in my face and people who are actually here for me. And especially relationship wise, like I was saying, dating and seeing how people maneuver. Like, obviously, yes, there is piss in the dating pool, but eventually when you write down and pray about what it is and who it is you want in your life, God comes through. God will definitely come through, and he will show you like why you need to just sit down, take a seat, relax, and let him do what he does best. So that was one thing that I definitely had to learn. Another thing that I realized too, and also what Pastor Keon actually said too in his sermon was that people want relationships so bad, or with anyone, that they end up putting down their list, like their own list that they put together just to say that they're in a relationship. And that, I feel like, plays also into you losing trust for people, because you have this idea in your head that I want this person to be honest with me. I want this person to show me that they really care about me, that they really love me. And you let that fuck up moment happen more than what you should allow. Like, the first time, it should just be said, like, listen, you said you were going to do something, and the fact that you didn't do it, that doesn't fit right with me, or that doesn't sit right with me. I need you to stick to your word, and what you say you're going to do is what you're going to do. If you can't do it, say that. I'd understand that as well. But don't break promises, because that will then make me look at you in a different way, as if I can't trust you. So I feel like if that's happening, or that has happened, you need to address it and stop putting down what it is you want out of your relationship, because, or just like overlooking it just because the person looks good, or just because they do pop out eventually with some nice gift, or that they do something to comb over the distrust that you don't have for them. And I feel like a lot of people tend to do that because they just want to be in one. They just want to be happy. They don't want to be by themselves. And they fear being alone, which is another topic that was also in the poll of what should be the next topic. But that will be in a later one. But don't lay down your wants for a relationship. If it's not being met, then move on to somebody else who will do it. So since I hit the surface on most of the things, I feel like just to speak on what can break trust, and I kind of thought about like 9 different things, almost 10, but 9 specifically. So for the first one, it's cheating. Now, there's nothing more that I need to say when it comes to cheating, that ultimately, especially for myself, breaks trust completely. For me, and me alone, when you cheat on me, I automatically cannot trust you again. I've tried to be the person who's like, okay, he cheated, I can let it go, I can move on, and we can work things out, we can figure things out, because I ultimately thought like, okay, this is somebody who I was going to be with for the rest of my life. But then when I started to realize, and I always knew this about me, but again, I was trying something different. I always knew that I could not take somebody back who cheated on me. I can forgive you for what it is you've done. I can, because again, you ask God to forgive you for the things you've done. So how can you not forgive someone for what they have done to you? So I can forgive you for messing around with this woman, but can I ever look at you the same? No, I cannot, because it's like, how could you do something as fucking this girl or messing around with this woman and then turn around and come do the same thing with me, when that's supposed to be something that's, yeah, okay, it's fun, but also something that is so intimate and so personal. Like, I don't know. I never understood that. And I guess it's different for everybody. And depending on how you view cheating, whether it's texting inappropriate messages, which I don't feel like you should be doing, because that's opening the door to cheating, but whatever. Like I said, having sex or kissing, flirting, or all of the above. It really depends on what you view as cheating. And that's something you also need to have a conversation with your partner. Although it should never be, cheating shouldn't be a thing that you both should be doing. But if that happens to be a topic of conversation, like, okay, so what do you view as cheating, or how has cheating hurt you in the past? Because I feel like everybody has gotten cheated on. I don't feel like there's not one person who hasn't, but everyone handles it differently. Everyone's, like I said, what everyone defines as cheating is different. I don't play about it at all. I personally see it as this, right? If I don't want you to do it to me, why am I going to do it to you? So if I don't want you to be texting other women, saying things inappropriate, sending pictures, asking for pictures, this and that, I wouldn't do it to you. And you wouldn't want me to do it to you. So why would you then do it to me? That's how I see it. Kissing someone, flirting, like I said, again, flirting is just like opening the door. It's giving that person a thought that, oh, there's a possibility. Some people think that flirting is not a big deal. That can't break my trust because I feel like I can still trust you. Yeah, you're right. You talking to her. Yeah, right. You flirting in her face. Yeah, right. It's not a big deal. But to me, it's like, if you could sit here and kiki ha with her, well, what else are you doing? That's just how I see it. So for me, the first one was what can break trust is cheating. The second one is attachment theory. So I had to look this up because I heard about it, but I didn't really know too much about what it means. I have an idea, but basically it's you have to be around your partner all the time or most of the time to feel loved, seen, or just to know what they're doing. According to BetterHelp, which is where I actually read it on, was attachment theory is a disorganized attachment style that is often associated with experiences of prolonged childhood abuse or neglect and a disorganized parent. These experiences can lead those with this style to feel they cannot have healthy or meaningful relationships. So I kind of summed it up in my head of thinking like, okay, if you always need to be, like I said, you always need to be around your partner. You always need to be next to them. You have to know what they're doing at all times, every single time. Probably this feeling of abandonment, probably this feeling of past relationship traumas and what has caused you to feel like you need to just be like on the right, be the right hand of your partner all the time. And I'm not saying that like I'm not laughing as in a funny way, but it's just like you do see people having these problems where they need to be up underneath their spouse 24/7 because I feel like a lot of times they don't trust you. A lot of times they just like, they don't believe that you are going where you say you're going. They don't believe you're with who you say you're with. And it's just their way of controlling the situation and controlling their emotions, I guess, sort of say, by knowing what you're doing. But it can also, like BetterHelp says, it can lead to unhealthy relationships. It can lead to a lot of arguments, a lot of problems. Like somebody could spaz on you like, well, why are you always up underneath me? Go find something to do. Go do something with yourself. Like you don't need to be around me 24/7. And I feel like that's something that every relationship needs. Every person needs their own personal life. Like it's good to always want to be up underneath your partner. It's good to always want to be around them. But when you start to lose yourself and you start to lose who it is you are, that's English? That's not even English. Is that proper English? Lose who you are. That's it. What was I just what did I even just say? When you start to lose yourself, clearly, right? When you start to lose yourself, it becomes rather toxic and it becomes very, I guess, sad too, because you stop doing the things that make you happy for a person that makes you happy. And again, it's great to have a person that makes you happy. Yes, we all want that. But you also have to remember that before you met this person, you were in the gym. Before you met this person, you were writing. You were taking walks. It can honestly be whatever it is that makes you happy in your singleness. before you met your partner, and having that just be a part of your life now with this person also being there. So attachment theory is another way of breaking trust, because that person can then feel like, well, you don't trust me with anything, so why are we even together? Number 3, breaking promises. Saying you're going to be somewhere, or that you are going to do something for your partner means a lot. They are basically depending on you to keep your word. If you say, I'll pick you up, like I've said it before, if you say, I'll pick you up at 8:00, or I'll go get your car washed, or I promise I will be at your next show, whatever it is, and you don't show up, or not even let them know that you can't make it, you're breaking your promise. It's that simple. And then when it keeps happening, they feel as though that they cannot rely on you for anything but words, and those words obviously have no meaning. That can really turn a relationship from being perfect to being completely like, nah, I'm good, I don't want to deal with it, because I can't believe anything that comes out of your mouth. I can't trust your actions behind anything, because you say you're going to do something and you don't do it. That could definitely turn somebody off. I mean, that would turn me off. If you're going to tell me that you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do it, or you can't do it anymore, then say that as well. But just do not leave me high and dry. That I don't like either. But I feel like that's for anybody though. Leaving someone high and dry without saying anything, I feel like it's disrespectful for the most part. But then also just be about it. If you could do it, then you could do it. If you can't, say that you can't. It's understandable as well. Number 4, failing to tell the whole truth. Telling a quarter or a half of the truth is not the same as telling the whole truth. Let's be clear. We clearly know that if you don't tell the whole truth, you're clearly hiding something. And then if we find out about it, now you have even more problems. Don't half-ass what it is you're saying or whatever has happened. If whatever happened, speak on it and let's work on it from there. But don't sit here and choose to tell your person just a snip of, oh, but she's gonna black, or she's gonna get crazy, or he's gonna start yelling. Well, they need to learn how to control themselves. They need to learn how to handle news, whether it's, well, obviously if it's bad, handle it much better than what they've been doing before. But don't hide the truth from your partner. That's just gonna escalate shit into another hemisphere that you really just don't want to deal with. The next one is lying. And lying in any situation, friendship, relationship, family, work, it will not get you anywhere. It may seem safe to do at the moment. You may feel like no one's going to catch you in it. You may feel like, you're dodging a bullet. They're not going to ask other questions. But somehow, some way, you're going to get caught up in the lie. Somehow, some way, the truth is going to start to show itself, and you're going to have to find another way to cover up that lie that you just told for another lie. Just don't lie. Like, it's for people who are like habitual liars, I feel like it could be difficult because it's something that you just have done forever in your entire life, and you've probably never been told to stop doing it because you've just gotten away with it. But once you've come to that realization, or someone has brought it up to you, like, hey, I know you're lying to me and I need you to stop lying to me, and really figuring out how to let go or how to really stop lying. And it sounds crazy, but it's a actually like true thing. Like, to stop doing something that you've just always done because you've gotten away with it. It's harder. It's easier said than done. But for your partner, don't lie to them, because that will make them never believe anything you say. I mean, and like, again, it's not just relationships, but because we are talking about relationships, lying to anybody in your circle, in your life, it won't get you anywhere, but a whole bunch of drama. The next one is something that I feel like we all experience, which is trauma. Trauma can break trust. If, like, let's say you start dating someone and you tell them, you guys are on the vulnerable part of your dating or in your relationship, where you're telling each other about the things that have happened to you in the past and how it has made you feel, and your current boyfriend, current girlfriend, current partner, whoever it is you're dating, does something to trigger you, that brings back trauma experiences of what you have dealt with in the past. And that can then break the trust within your relationship, because you've already told them, like, these are the things that I don't like you doing. Like, so for example, if you've always had a conversation with your ex about, like, you guys would always talk, and every time you would talk, they would always end up cutting you off, that is a trauma, a trigger for you. So if in this new relationship you have told your partner, like, listen, I don't do good with people cutting me off. I want to be heard. I want you to hear what I'm saying. And when I'm speaking to you, don't cut me off. And they still do it. It's a trauma experience. And then you may shut down, you may get angry, you may get up and walk away. And then that will make them feel like, yo, what's up? Like, I'm trying to have a conversation with you. But do you realize what you just did? Do you realize that you just triggered me into a previous feeling that I didn't want to feel anymore? Because I'm experiencing what my ex did. And I told you I don't like it. I told you this is a problem. And again, it may take and understand, it may take them a few times. Like, it may take once or twice. It just might. For some people, it won't. Some people, it will just be the first time you say it, they have no problem, they won't do it. But if we're being honest here, everyone has something that they need to work on. And when you meet someone, they're not going to be completely perfect. There are going to have some things about them that they've always done that, again, they've probably never addressed or no one has ever told them about. And if you're the person who they want to be with, or you're the person who they see themselves with, and you bring that up, like, cutting me off while I'm speaking to you is a trauma, or is a trauma experience or a trigger for me, they will take it into consideration. Okay, let me make sure and be mindful that I don't do that whenever we're having a conversation. Let them have their 20 minutes of uninterrupted speaking of what it is that they're going through, and I won't say anything back. And then when they're done, I'll talk. And I feel like everybody has to do that. It's not just like someone who deals with that trauma, but I'm just using that as an example. Being able to hear your partner, not just listen, but to hear them and what they're saying, can prevent trust being broken, because now you actually know what it is that they're asking of you and what they're asking for you to keep their relationship or your relationship healthy. Now, this one, when I was thinking about it, I was like, having a temper in your big age of 30 should not be a thing. You should have a little bit more self-control at this point if you're having, or if you're known to have had tempers back in the day. Listen here, okay? We are too old to be having these baby ass tantrums. If I cannot speak to you without you having to have a fit, flip the table, drop your phone, oh my God, make a big thing, or roll your eyes to the back of your head, look up at the ceiling like there's something there. Okay, what are we doing all that for? You just can't voice your opinion. You can't voice how you feel without doing all this extra nonsense. And again, goes back to trauma. It goes back to a trigger. That can then be a trigger for somebody. I know I cannot stand when I'm saying something to someone and they do and they roll their eyes. I've learned to really not take it too personal, but I feel like I cannot stand that, because it feels like, okay, so you don't want me to say how I feel. Okay, so I won't say anything. And I used to really be like that. Like, okay, now I won't say nothing. And they'll be like, no, say it. No, I'm not saying anything. Because if I'm getting the, what, man, I'm not going to say nothing. Because clearly you're going to be listening to me and you're not going to hear me. And now you're going to make it seem like I'm nagging you, when that's not even the case. I'm not even trying to nag you. I'm just trying to express to you what I'm feeling. And that just always that just irritates me. And that's somewhat of a temper. You're having a temper, or you have a temper, or you have an attitude with what it is that I'm saying, and that will make someone shut off. And that will make someone like me, or someone who thinks the same way as me, feel like I can't trust you with just my words. Again, it's not just body, it's not just mind, it's not just feelings, it's everything. I have to be able to trust you with every single part. And if my talking to you is an issue and you have an attitude with it, okay, so we have nothing to speak about, beloved. We're going to move on. And if this is like the first time you and this person have had a conversation, and you're starting to see like, okay, they don't take well to someone having, or someone telling them about themselves, then I think when both of you are at like a calm space where you guys can speak about like how their reaction to your comment, how that made you feel. And there's nothing wrong with doing that either. I don't know why people be so shy to say, well, I don't want to hurt no one's feelings, but and I don't want to shake no tables. No, shake the table. Flip it if you have to. But it's just a way that you have to go about doing it. We're all grown, and if you're not able to communicate and to speak about things that are bothering you, or things that you just that don't just sit well with you, then I feel like it's best to acknowledge that to that person. Like, listen, I've tried to speak to you, I've tried to have conversations with you, and every time that I do, it seems like you have an attitude, or I can't communicate with you. And no one, I cannot stand that, when you can't have a regular conversation with a grown-ass man, even a grown-ass woman. Like, you can't have a conversation with them, and they just automatically turn into this, like, I don't even know, like, what to call them. But it's just, like, it's so unattractive, and it's so, like, how do you go about your life not being able to take, not even just criticism, but just people being able to tell you, like, you're wrong, or this is how you should have done it instead of doing that. I know it's a growth thing. I know, like, for certain people, it just takes time, but you have to, one, really be able to acknowledge that you have this issue, and that you need to watch how you control your temper in a better way whenever someone's speaking to you, but then also realizing that, okay, this is something that needs to be changed or needs to be worked on. So the last thing that I came up with was not taking responsibility for your actions. Gentlemen, I want to put you up on something real quick if you're not aware. When we say, and it may not be this specifically, but when we say, is there something that you want to tell me? We kind of know already what has happened. There's like a 9.5 out of 10 chance that we know what has already transpired that you are not telling us, or you tried to hide from us, but we already know. How we know, not your business, but we know. And we just want to know if whether or not you're going to admit to what it is you've done. Now, that could be anything. It doesn't necessarily have to mean or to be cheating. It could be if you lied about something, if you said you were going somewhere but you really went here instead. It could be, why didn't you show up the way you said you was going to show up? Or I knew you was doing this instead. It can literally be anything. But when we give y'all that line, when we say that, it's like, is there something that you want to tell me? Or when we start questioning about your whereabouts, majority of the time, we know something happened. Don't beat around the bush about it. Take responsibility for it. Just own up to it and just be like, listen, this is what happened. That happened. I'm sorry that it happened. I wasn't thinking, or whatever the case may have been. And just own up to it. Acknowledge that you've done it and take responsibility for it. And I know somebody's going to say, oh, but y'all don't like to hear the truth. Y'all always say that, but then y'all want to start acting up. Y'all want to start getting crazy and throwing hands and throwing stuff. How? I always said this too. And I think I've probably said it earlier. I rather deal with the hurt of the truth than dealing with the hurt of a lie. If you tell me that this is something that you've done, and you're being honest with me, and you're looking at me dead in the face and telling me like, yo, I fucked up bad, bro, and I'm just like, I'm sorry that I did it, and you're sincere about it, for one. Two, you know you're not going to do it again. But if you're for real about what you've done without me having to like ask you a bunch of times, and I just mentioned it one time and you say it, you take responsibility for it, it's easier to have the conversation, one. That way there's not so much static between us than it is if you lie about it, you continue to lie about it, and continue to lie about it, and then I find out more information, and then you still lie about it. And now here we are bickering, going back and forth with each other because you will not admit to something that you've done, although I know everything. It's best to deal with the hurt of the truth than deal with the hurt of a lie, because the person will never look at you the same. They'll never see you the same. Yeah, they may forgive you, which everyone should practice that. I still practice that now, forgiving and letting go. But I'm telling you that not taking responsibility for something that we already know that you've done is going to piss us off. And ladies, just please refrain from throwing hands. Just refrain from putting your hands on them. I know you want to, but we're not condoning fighting over here. We're not going to condone violence. I know they piss us off. I get it. I understand. But don't do it. Do not do that. And try not to make it a yelling match either for the both of you. Like, I had to really stop doing that too, like the whole yelling and screaming. I find like it comes off deadlier by me just speaking like this and really just be like, so you thought that was okay? Like, and then just like giving them the look, like the squint in your eye thing, like, so you thought that was all right? Or you really like, you okay? You good? Like, tell me how that makes sense. Like, just certain things, and keeping your tone at a very leveled monotone type thing, it makes the heart flutter a little bit more. It makes them a little more nervous when you speak to them like just okay. And no, that doesn't make us crazy, because somebody said that too, like, oh, that just means that y'all crazy. No, that means that we're able to control our emotions, and it means that you are now in some shit. But you know, you think what you want to think. But I feel like taking responsibility for your actions is another way to break, or not taking responsibility for your actions is another way for trust to be completely broken and really can't be repaired either. So finally, as we come to the end of this episode that you guys wanted so badly, I hope you guys are okay though. But we already established what can break trust, right? So we got the whole cheating, attachment theory, breaking promises, failing to tell the whole truth, lying, trauma, having a temper, being a hypocrite, and not taking responsibility for your actions. But how to heal? Like, how do you heal from trust being broken? Because now we're at this point now. So if you've decided like, okay, cool, I want to move on with my life. I don't, whether it be with this person or whether it be with somebody else, I don't want to bring the same type of baggage from my old situation or what has happened earlier in our situation into this new era or this new year of us fixing things or just moving on into a new relationship with someone new. How do you heal from trust being broken? And what I did was I broke it into 2 categories. So you guys can basically decide on what side of the spectrum have you been mostly. Have you been the breaker? So the breaker is basically the person who is constantly the reason why the relationship never will always either comes to an end, or why there's always so much problems and friction in your relationship. Or are you the broken, where that basically means you're the person who always gets hurt? But is there a reason behind why you always get hurt? Do you allow people to run over you? Do you not put your foot down? Do you make everything seem like, oh, it's not that big of a deal? Do you do the whole, oh, well, that's just how he is, or that's just how she is type of thing, which leads to you always being the broken person? So for me, most of the times I've been the broken when it comes to relationships. I've always had the guy do something to me that has made me be the broken and them being the breaker. I probably wouldn't say one relationship, and I guess it was probably puppy love if you really think about it, because I was younger, where I argued a lot. But I thought for me, arguing was a way of communicating at the time. And I had to see that I was at that point the breaker. My first relationship, I was broken. I was part of the broken. And then the second one I was in, I was the breaker, because I just kept arguing. And he had to point it out to me, like, listen, you do this and you don't realize that you're doing it. And this isn't communicating. If you think this is how you're supposed to speak to people, this is not how you're supposed to. And ultimately we ended because I always just wanted to, in my defense, I thought I was communicating. That's just my defense. I thought I was, but I really wasn't. Now that I look back on it, and not even just now, but previously, like years ago, I've looked back on it like, no, I really was arguing and really just wanting to have these like head on arguments with this person for no reason, about nothing. And really just taking accountability for that. But whichever side of the spectrum you lie on is up to you. And like I said, this is how I've learned and continue to learn how to heal from trust being broken. And it doesn't take like one day. It doesn't take 1 week, 1 month. It doesn't even take a year. It trust building and just getting away from trauma in a relationship and letting go of what people have done to you in relationship takes a very long time. It never really ends. It keeps going. And I feel that a lot of people try to put a time limit on it, and there really is no time. Like, you'll know that you're not over something when you start dating again, or you're in a new relationship and the same problem happens all over again. Like, you really didn't let go of the bullshit that happened in your old relationship, or you really didn't learn anything that you were supposed to learn from that relationship to not bring into the new one, because here you are in the same argument with a different person, and you're still going through these headaches and this drama and this yelling, or this whatever it could be, whatever trauma it was that led to that relationship ending is now in this new one, and you really haven't learned from it. So there were a few things that I came up with, but we're not going to go like so deep into it. Basically just going to skim through it. But so this is the ones that I really just thought about as I'm going through my whole healing. So the one thing I did come up with was acknowledging your actions to your partner before they find out. So just like how I said in the last one that I came up with was acknowledging or not taking responsibility for your actions. Acknowledging your actions to your partner before they find out. This is for the breaker. And I think I'm just going to speak on the breakers first. We're going to speak on the breakers and what things that you can do to help heal and mend the issue within the relationship. And again, I'm not a professional. I've said this before. I'm not a professional. I just really say these things off of experience, off of what I've seen, off of what I've heard some of my friends go through, what I've given them advice on, what I've had to take advice from them as well, from myself, and just other like I watch stuff on YouTube. I listen to other podcasts as well, and just like certain mentors and stuff who tell you these things, and it's just like, that makes sense. It's an eye opener. So the first thing, like I said, was acknowledging your actions to your partner before they find out are for the breakers. Again, you do not want to deal with the hurt of a lie. You rather want to deal with the hurt of the truth. It's going to hurt either way. If you tell your partner, like, listen, I fucked up, I cheated, or I lied about going here, or no, I was really over there when I was supposed to be here, or yeah, I took some money out of the account when I shouldn't have, like if y'all have a joint account, or whatever the case may have been, doing something behind their back, whatever it was, you just want to be forthcoming about what it is you've done. Don't sugarcoat it, don't lie about it. Don't ask for smoke and then not be able to handle it. Like, don't do that. Just keep everything peaceful, right? The other thing is, be honest. What really happened, with who, how, why, and when. I know it sounds like we're interrogating you at that moment, but it's really just us trying to process what happened and when did everything go wrong and what was I doing at the time. Because sometimes that could be a thing too. But we just really want to know everything. Like, we want to know the who, like who was it with? Why did you do it? When did it happen? Don't leave any details out. Whatever they ask, you answer. And again, that just helps with the understanding part of it all. And I know a lot of people don't want to ever go down that because it may be hurtful to sit there and tell your partner, like, this is what I did and I'm sorry that I did it, and not wanting to relive it. But in order to heal from it, in order to move on from it, we do have to relive situations first before we can let go completely of what has happened. So that is for the breaker. Another thing for the breaker, when they start to ask questions, so when your partner starts to ask questions, just answer them. Don't get annoyed or dismissive of their feelings. Just answer the question. So in 2 of my previous relationships, I won't say which 2, but in 2 of my previous relationships, I confronted them about the cheating and why, the whole asking questions thing, like what happened, why did you do it, when it happened, yada yada. And whenever I would ask questions, they were very dismissive of me asking any questions. Why do you want to know that? Like, why does it matter? I told you I did it, let it go. Excuse me? You told me you did it, now let it go. You don't get to tell the person whom you've cheated on or that you lied to get over it. I told you, now get over it. We get over it when we're ready to get over it. Now, should it last forever? No. It should not last forever. Everybody has a different timeline, so I won't say a specific timeline. Years? Okay, that's a bit much. But everyone has their own timeline. I would ask the questions, and when I say they were like dismissing, he was like, we already spoke about it. Why are we speaking about it again? Like, why does it matter? I think I even asked, like, well, who is she? Like, what's her name? I don't know why I asked, like, what's her name? Like, it mattered. Matter of fact, I know why, because I was going to be on my CIA shit. And I was really about to find, like, who is this girl? But I would ask that, and he was like, why does it matter? You don't know who this person is. Okay, well, tell me. Why do you care? Because you cheated on me with someone else, and I want to know. Like, it sounds crazy when you think about it, like, as I'm saying it, but it's just like, we want to know the questions again. That way we could just download it, understand it, and move on from it. We do want to move on from it, but we first need to know everything that has happened and why did it happen. And I know some people will say, like, well, what is that really going to do for you? But you don't understand it until I guess it happens to you, or I guess if you think on that same level, like if you're an emotional type of person, or if someone doing something to that level to you makes you react that in that sense. I guess if you're that type of person to react in that way, then you understand it. If you're not, then you don't understand it. But when your partner starts to ask questions, just answer them. Don't be dismissive. You could sit down, speak to them. If you want to hold their hand, whatever, but don't dismiss them from what it is that they're asking. I think the other one was like, he just would sit there, like he was scared to tell me anything because he knew like she's about to be done with me because I fucked up bad. And at that time, I was doing a lot of the yelling. Like I would yell and I would get my frustration out that way. But yeah, just answer don't be dismissive. Don't dismiss the person's feelings. Don't get annoyed so quickly. Like, let us have our time and our moment to be like, okay, we need to get whatever we need to get off our chests. Another thing for the breakers, it's your turn to be patient. Like, you wanted patience throughout the relationship. You wanted understanding, and you wanted the things that you wanted to get what you needed out of the relationship. Well, now if you want this relationship to continue, I need you to be patient with me in order for me to start building my trust up for you again. However long that may take. Again, it shouldn't be years. Like, girl, if it's years, or guy, if it's years, just let it go. Or if you feel like really deep down you cannot let it go as much as you're trying, then you really need to walk away. But if you're really trying to hold on to your relationship, or you're trying to hold on to the friendship or whatever, you as the breaker need to find some patience and understand that there will be times the conversation will be brought up again. There will be times where a little slick comment may come out, or there may be times when we could be feeling sad, or we could be feeling overwhelmed, or we start thinking about it all over again. You have to be now the reassuring partner, the reassuring friend, to tell me, or to allow, or to basically tell me that it won't happen again, and to be as sincere as possible. And what do you need me to do? How can I help you get through this moment? What is it that you're looking? How can I help you in this? That's basically the one question that you need to ask them. How can I help you? Because when you know your partner, you know what they're feeling, you know how their attitude can switch. You know when they can be, how they look when they're so happy, and then you know how they look when they're upset, or when they're angry, or they're really overthinking something. You or at least you should know. I mean, shit, if you're dating them and y'all sleeping together, you should know that at least. But it's your turn to be the nurturer. It's your turn to turn on that, turn up that patient level, and sit in this, I'm trying to keep my relationship. I want to keep my relationship. So what can I do to help you out and to get past what you're feeling at this given moment? And if it's, I need a hug, give them a hug. If it's, I need, I was going to say, if it's, I need a Chanel bag, then buy me a Chanel bag. Now, don't do that. But if it's, I need to take a walk, let them take a walk. If it's nothing right now, that means give them their space, but it can also mean do a nice gesture just because. If it's, I mean, it could be so many things, because again, it all depends on the person who you're dating, and you know what they like, and you know what will make them happy and will make them feel better about a situation. And it can, and I'm telling you this now, the I'm sorry's and the reassuring is going to help more than you think. Will the person be guaranteed to stay with you? Again, it's up to them. But by you reassuring them, by you doing the small things that you were doing that got you to this point, that got you not to this point, because obviously not the point of you fucking up, but that's gotten you to be have you guys on the boyfriend girlfriend level. You want to go back to the basics. You want to get back to, how did I get her, or how did I get him, and how can I show him or her that I won't do what I just did again. And that's where, your patience really has to come in, which is my other last part about the breakers. Start from the beginning. You really have to start from how you met them. How did you get their attention? What were you doing when you guys first started dating? What did you do? Did you buy her flowers all the time? Did you cook him dinner all the time? Did you take her to her favorite show? Did you pay for his haircut? Did whatever it was that you did in the beginning to make them feel special, small gestures that made them feel like this is somebody who I see myself being with for a long time. You have to go back to that. You have to build this trust up again. And this also doesn't necessarily mean that the person, like the breaker, that you cheated. It doesn't mean that. It can literally mean you stopped, like you walked away. It can mean that, you had a few months of just not being the person who, that you guys were in the beginning. It doesn't necessarily mean like a cheating situation, a cheating scenario. It can literally mean anything that has caused the trust in your relationship to be broken. To help build it back, start from the beginning. The smallest things that you saw that made this person happy. Start over again. And keep doing it. Don't stop doing it just because they're happy now and they seem a little bit better around you. Because I guarantee you they're still thinking about it. There are still moments where it pops up. There are still moments where they get nervous. Like, are they going to do this again? They're going to think about, how are they going to heal from it if it happens again? Should they bring this wall down again that they now had to build back up because you broke their trust? But now they're starting to bring it down little brick by brick, but you have to really give them that space where they're like, I can do this. Because if they don't feel that way, then they're not gonna do it. That wall's gonna stay up. So do whatever you have to do, and only if you really want to do it. Let's not beat around the fucking bush. If you're not interested, say you're not interested. If you're over it, say you're over it. Don't waste somebody's time. If you don't feel like you either did anything wrong, which is sick in the head, but if you feel like you didn't do anything wrong, and if you feel like you don't want to make things right, go about your business. Peace out. Go about your business. And the broken, sweetheart, let it be what it is. Say how you feel. Acknowledge it. Speak on it. Now drop it. You're going to have to do healing in your own way. And I mean that in the most positive way, which is good for us to like segue into this very last part of this episode, is talking about the broken. Because again, like I said, I've spent most of my time when it comes to relationships, a part of the broken, where I had to build that wall back up again, and this is a very vulnerable moment. I love this for me. But this is what this podcast is about, being vulnerable. Where I had to build the wall back up after bringing it back down, and build it back up and bring it back down, bring it back up and then bring it back down. And being cautious of not bringing it all the way down as I've gotten older, just keeping it to where my eyes can look over the wall, but you're not going to see my entire face, because we've gotten so used to, and I say we because, like I said, I'm a part of that broken spectrum of it all. We have to learn how to heal sometimes on our own, because we're never going to get, sometimes we won't get, not never, sometimes we won't get the apology that we deserve. You're not always going to get it. You're not always going to get the sorry. You're not always going to get the I fucked up. You're not always going to get, damn, I should have done this better. You're not always going to get it. So somehow, some way, you need to learn how to heal from it when you have to do it by yourself. So one of the things for the brokens are being honest with yourself. How does it really make you feel? Don't hold back your feelings. Speak on it. Say how this person made you feel. I know we're now in a time where everybody just wants to be so nonchalant about everything, how they don't want to acknowledge their true feelings because they don't want to look soft, or they don't want to look vulnerable. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want the world to see that there's a actual human. Everybody wants to move like a robot and not be a human and actually have feelings. I miss me with that, please. Miss me with all of that. I want you to be as vulnerable as possible, to an extent, obviously, because you're obviously not going to be an open book in the beginning. But as time goes on, you should be able to open up and let your partner know the things about you that has broken you, the things that have hurt you, and the things that you're looking to not bring into this new relationship. And when it does happen, if it does happen, I should say that, not when, because if it happens, because it may never happen again. But if it does, speak on it and tell them how it makes you feel. Don't hold back. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to start yelling. You ain't got to do all that extra rah-rah shit. Just speak just like this and tell them how it made you feel. Like, so, you know that little thing that you did the other day? Yeah, that I'm not a fan of that. I don't, that don't sit right with me. And why doesn't it sit right with you? Tell them that. That way they know. Because they can never sit here and they'll never be able to sit here and tell you that, oh, well, you never told me that it hurt your feelings. Oh, well, you never told me that bothered you. Oh, no, you're going to know. You're going to know that bothered me. You're going to know that pissed me off, and I need you not to do it again. And then if they take it how they want to take it. But as long as you told them. The other part is to, and I guess this is for both the breaker and the broken, stay focused on your intentions. So if you are for sure wanting to work this out and you want to let things go and you've made up your mind that you want to stay focused on exactly that. Like, okay, I'm going to do my part in healing from it. So whether that be you need to go see a therapist, if you need to go to the gym, if you need to write, if you need to, I don't know, make music or read or whatever it is that's going to help you get you through this obstacle of your trust being broken in your relationship, stay focused on that. And the breaker, show everything that you need to show in order to get that person to trust you again. But if the intention is to just understand what happened and to give it maybe a few days or so to really process everything, if you are honest with yourself and you know that you cannot look past this, you cannot see them in a different light anymore after they've done this, then that's your answer. You need to move on. Your focus now is to heal yourself by yourself. And that's not for nobody else to understand but you. And as a breaker, you're just going to have to handle it. You're just going to have to deal with it. You've done what you've done. Forgiveness will come. I would always say, like, try to forgive, or you should at least forgive the person for doing what they've done. But if for whatever reason that person cannot see past it and they cannot be with you, or they cannot continue this relationship, off of what you've done, unfortunately, you got to let it go and keep your intention for your next relationship to fix whatever it is you've done in this relationship and make sure you don't bring it into the next one. So that's what you should focus on, to make sure that you don't have a repeat of what you've just done in this one. And I guess this could be another one for the both of you. Couples therapy. I've never done couples therapy. It was suggested that me and an ex do it, and I was like, yeah, no. I was over it already, so I was just like, I'm good. But I have heard that couples therapy does work. You're able to sit down with a therapist who hears both sides of the story, both sides of the relationship, and they're able to just give you their opinion as to what you guys could do to fix it. And sometimes, depending on, I guess, however you want your therapist to play as mediator in your relationship or in the relationship getting better, they'll tell you like where you're wrong at, or they'll acknowledge like, okay, so you shouldn't have done that because clearly he said this bothers him, yet you keep doing that. Or she clearly said by you doing this makes her feel like that, and this brings up X, Y, and Z, yet you keep doing it. However you want the therapist to show up in your relationship is how they will. But some people say couples therapy works. I'm not opposed to it. I feel like if at any given moment I think me and my partner need to go to couples therapy, I would suggest it. I do feel like if marriage is on your idea of where you see your life going, I do feel like marriage counseling or spousal, is it called spousal counseling? Because you're not technically married yet, but seeing a therapist before you get married, I feel like that's something that people should do, especially nowadays in this social media hell-bent world. But try couples therapy. It may work. I mean, if anybody has done couples therapy, leave a comment. I want to know, like, how did it work? Like, how did it go? Did you really get through the issues that you were going through, or did you guys end up like not giving a fuck and just moving on? And the last thing for the broken hearteds, you have to let it go, boo. You have to let it go. You can't sit here and keep holding on to what Tommy did or what Vanessa did if you want to move on in the relationship. And again, whether that could mean whether that's the both of you moving on together, or if that means y'all both going y'all separate ways and the both of you getting into new relationships, you have to let it go. You can't sit here and take what you did in the relationship with Vanessa into a relationship with Chanel and then bring that shit right back into another relationship with Monica. Like, hello? Are you not seeing a cycle here that you're the problem? Or are you not seeing the cycle here that you're not letting go of things that you were doing in your past relationship that has caused this one to end? Okay, that has caused that one to end. This is causing that one. Like, it's a real it's an eye-opener when you really sit back and you think about it, like, damn, I was doing some things that I should not have been doing. And maybe that's why this relationship didn't last. That's why that relationship didn't last. You keep going in the same circle. You keep finding yourself in relationships that last maybe 1, 2, 2.5 years, 3 and a possible, because you just keep going in the same circle. You keep allowing the same things to happen because you really haven't gotten over the problems or the things that has happened in the first relationship that has caused that. Or I call it the trauma relationship. Everybody has had like a relationship that was really traumasome, that really brought out sides to them that they were just like, oh nah, like it kind of like mentally fucked them up. But you have to let it go. You have to find ways to move on from it. And I personally feel like therapy is great, to speak to someone to help you get over things and to push through situations that have probably caused you a lot of hurt. If you want to get spiritual, start reading your Bible and start talking to God and listening to the words of what He's telling you to do and what He said in the Bible. If you want to get on the spiritual spectrum of it, which I suggest everybody should do, honestly, but that's just me. Talking to a friend who has gone through things that may have been similar to what you've gone through, that definitely helps. But you have to let it go. You can't keep wishing and manifesting and hoping for something new and hoping for a new relationship or a new change to come through, and yet it's like, if you know your last relationship ended because you kept yelling, or like you kept talking down to this man or to this woman, why would you then bring that into the new one? Like, if they're telling you like this is what happened, and if you sincerely ask them like what happened and why did we end, like what did I do wrong, and they tell you like you have a problem with taking accountability, like just for example, you have a problem with taking accountability for your actions, you yell too much, you belittle me whenever I'm talking to you. If they're telling you this and they're giving you examples and they're letting you know like that's how it made me feel, and if you look at your other relationships in the past, and it doesn't have to be like official boyfriend girlfriend, it can even just be people you've dated, and if they've said the same thing to you along the lines of that same thing that your ex or your ex-boyfriend or your ex-girlfriend mentioned to you, well, sweetheart, then it's you. And I'm saying this like in all, like with, I've done it. I've had to reevaluate myself. Like, am I doing too much? Am I doing this? Should I be doing that? And seeing that, okay, I need to stop doing X, Y, and Z. I need to stop doing this because that's what's causing this to happen. Or had I had responded this way instead of responding that way, that would have, you know what I mean? Like that probably wouldn't have caused us to argue as much. But you really have to let go of the things that's your toxicity, your toxic trait. That's what I should have called it. That toxic trait that you bring to a relationship, you really have to let go of, and you really have to just admit to yourself that you have this problem. And that is the end of this episode, guys. When trust is broken, I feel like, again, you don't have a relationship if you don't have trust. If the trust is gone, then there is no relationship. That's just how I see it. Can trust be rebuilt? Yes. Can it be repaired? Yes. But it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, and you have to be honest with yourself. If you really don't want it, if you really are just like over a situation and you really can't see it going any further, then you might have to leave. You might have to just really just say, you know what, I can't do this. This is not for me, and pack up and go. But every relationship needs trust. And if you don't have that, then I don't know what you're even doing together at this point. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody, all the lovers out there. Even if you're not a couple, happy Galentine's Day, girls. I don't think guys don't celebrate it, so there's nothing for the guys. But I hope you guys enjoy your week. Again, whatever happened today, leave it in today. Don't bring it into tomorrow. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. Have a good one, y'all. Later.